First of all, thank you guys for introducing yourselves. So we're gonna do an outreach training, and the people that can come out with us and do outreach today, we have all the tools and resources needed to do door-to-door and street canvassing today. We do plan to do this ongoing. Hopefully, we'll be able to do this as the occupation persists, like at least once a month. But hopefully the idea, thank you for the people who are part of Occupy Outreach specifically. Canvas for a Cause takes pride in two things. We admire ourselves for being really amazing coalition partners. So we see ourselves as part of Occupy San Diego and a coalition partner to like the outreach team. And we also take pride in training activists to, like what Eugene's talking about, giving people the tools and resources it takes to then mobilize people and use your own passions and your own politics to build, mobilize people around issues. So, example, what Eugene's talking about is like training people with these resources. We've helped people all over San Diego County. For example, we just recently worked on prison reform, and we met with a local community organizer on petitioning against the SHU. Does everybody know the SHU? It's a small, 6-foot cell that's in Northern California in Pelican Bay. It's very inhumane practices, and we have a lot going on because we work on a lot of different political campaigns, but we definitely couldn't pass up the opportunity to work with this woman and the issues she cares about. So the idea was that we worked with her for a few weeks, ran an event with her, and then gave her the resources, and now she's building a program around that. Does that make sense? A little bit about why we canvass and what canvassing means. Who here has done any kind of canvassing before? Cool, a lot of people. That's awesome. Canvassing can mean a lot of things. It does not mean paid signature gathering. So I want to get that out of everybody's minds that that's canvassing. When there's like big booths and you go and you sign that and you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have signed that. That was pension reform. That's against unions. Oh, damn it. Canvassing makes everything. We literally verbalize everything we're doing. We don't hide anything. There's no misconceptions. Actually, the whole point is to untangle all the misconceptions that the media is creating, that we're hearing by word of mouth, that we're not actually learning for ourselves. Although we definitely do usually canvass on one side of an issue, right? We're canvassing on the side of the occupation. We're not against the occupation. We usually do this in to build support for an issue, because at this point the occupation has opposition, right? There's people that don't support the occupation. That's awesome. That means we're winning. That means it's working. If this wasn't working, there wouldn't be people talking about it. There wouldn't be people that have to go out and have these conversations with. So the idea is that, Canvas for a Cause kind of sneaks in at the right time and says like, cool, there's enough people talking about this. We need to go out and make sure they're talking about it the right way. Or we come in the beginning. Right now we're working on something called the Fair Education Act, which is an inclusive gay history curriculum in high schools. So with that one, it was really important to come in the beginning. We had to come in before the $30 million campaign came in and started telling people that we're trying to teach about gay sex in schools, because that's what was going to happen, right? So we had to come in and say like, hey, this is this bill. It's called the Fair Education Act. All it is teaching about Harvey Milk, and here's what it does. It brings down bullying rates in school. Oh, yeah, cool. Of course I support that. So by the time the opposition's out saying, oh, gay people are trying to teach sex in schools and et cetera, they're like, no, actually, I talked to this queer person, and they told me what it was. So I'm already on their side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The idea is that, like I said, what happened in New York, we mobilize people. Like, we bring back the power of the people, and that's what the occupation is doing. So I'm just so happy that, as an individual, of course I support this, but of course that I am with an organization that also supports this, because it's exactly what we do. We call ourselves a strike team of activists, ready to take on any issue that we care about, when it hits. And the occupation hit, and we were ready. And now everybody's ready, and it's super awesome. So the idea is we're mobilizing people. These are people here. This is a huge turnout. We go out and we do persuasion conversations on gay marriage and the Fair Education Act. Sometimes we have 10 people come out and we knock on 300 doors in 3 hours. What this model is based around is literally those face-to-face conversations, because the most strategic way to move a person, move a voter, move the public is by talking to them. And so why we canvass? Sometimes it's to fundraise. You could raise insane amounts of money just by talking to people. Canvas for a Cause doesn't have any corporate sponsors, right? We don't take any corporate or business money. We're solely funded by the people. So we have about 18,000 members, all of which donated at least $1 or more to Canvas for a Cause. Some give ongoing support. Some make huge donations, but we don't have anybody that donates like $10,000, right? So we don't have anybody who really pulls the strings of Canvas for a cause. It's totally up to the people. By being small donor funded, we get to say like, oh cool, does our board of directors approve Occupy? Okay, sweet, then we're gonna go Occupy. Because we don't have to, run it by Bank of America and, Starbucks to say like, can we Occupy, or are you gonna pull your funding? So we do it to fundraise so that we can keep moving forward. And the more, donors we have, the more power we have. We get to show up to a city council meeting and say 18,000 people in San Diego stand with us and we support the occupation. How do you feel, city council member? And it's really awesome, and it gives us a lot of political power, and luckily we usually stand the right way on issues. I can't think of any we haven't. So, also why we fundraise, like Holly was saying, to have what we call persuasion conversations. So when we work on gay marriage and gay politics, we're talking about people that literally voted against us. We show up to their door and we're like, hey, what's up? How'd you vote in 2008 for gay marriage? And they're like, I don't remember. I think I voted against it. And then there's the very strong people who are like, I'm absolutely against this. We're going to deal with the same things today. It's the same model. It's the idea that we're going to show up, we're going to have tons of people that support. It's a first-time trial, so we don't really know. We're going to be going to Hillcrest and downtown. We're specifically going to Councilmember Todd Gloria's district because Holly over here ran a Facebook campaign through Canvas for a Cause to reach out to Todd Gloria, to put political pressure on him, to at least say, I support the occupation. And he started 2 days later, over 100 people, I'm sure a lot of you guys posted on his page. 2 days later, he was standing here, supporting the occupation, talking to people. 4 days later, it was included in his luncheon. And now he's like moving on to talk to people at higher levels, which I'm supposed to keep quiet. But he's definitely talking about the occupation in his agenda, which is awesome and wasn't happening before this. So we're going to put more pressure on him today. Like I said, we're specifically going to his neighborhood. So to put pressure on council members, to put pressure on politicians, that's why we canvass. We also canvass for a petition gathering, which is what we're going to do today, which is the same thing as putting pressure on. We're going to be doing letter writing, which Eugene has experience in. Canvas for a Cause launched one of the largest in history of San Diego letter writing campaign on medical cannabis. I think it was something like 10,000 letters. It was something insane. Thousands and thousands of letters handwritten by the people of San Diego. What?
In 30 days.
In 30 days.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, Eugene. You're awesome.
Unfortunately, it didn't work too well. That's the horrendous order.
Yeah, we tried, and it definitely did something. That's for sure. And like I said, those phone calls in New York, the politician that we were actually having people call, kind of how we're targeting Todd Gloria, came out and he voted against gay marriage the first time and came out and said, because of public pressure, I'm changing my vote this year. So it really is a direct result of people putting pressure on politics, right? So often we're misrepresented by who's supposed to represent us in Congress and in the city council building. And when people show up and are fucking pissed off, and we're pissed off in numbers, and you force them to listen to you, it's very surprising how oftentimes it works, because it's our vote that's going to keep them there or not, right? It's not the corporation's vote. Although it's the corporation's money, it's not the corporation's vote. That's one thing they don't have is a vote. Awesome. Is everyone excited? And a huge part of outreach is getting to know each other, right? So I'm really glad that you all introduced yourself. We're going to be spending lots of time together today. Yeah, Holly, you want to go over this part?
Yeah, so basically this is what we usually use for gay marriage, so I'm going to have to adapt it for you, but what are we doing is we kind of identify people in different ways, so there's a scale.
We totally stereotype.
Yeah, we totally stereotype.
Non-supportive
cool,
people, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? There's registered voters all over, so we're going to be going to this place, and what it is a number 5 would just be someone who knows nothing about the Occupy movement. They're like, no, I've never heard of that. So that's a number 5. A 4 is someone who's against Occupy, not gay marriage. Though probably both, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, against gay marriage. 3 are against Occupy. They aren't supportive. They actively tell you, no, I don't support it right now. 3 says I don't really know. I'm kind of I don't really know how I feel about it. A 2 is someone who's like, yeah, I support it, but they're not really trying to get involved with it. They're like, yeah, I think I understand what they're doing, but I'm a busy person. And then 1 is people who are like, yeah, I totally support what's going on, how can I get involved, what can I do, or I already are doing things, what else can I do? They're the super supporters. So that's the scale we do. So since we're talking about persuasions, what we're going to see when you see these the boards is there's persuasion sheets, and you track them, so we can track how many people's minds we changed on Occupy, and see how effective we are just in this number, and tell people like how awesome it can be. So if they start out as someone who has nothing, who knows about it, and then by the end they're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, how can I get involved? Can I come down sometime? That'd be a 5 to a 1, which is cute. You know what I mean? That means you went from someone who had never heard of it and got them to come down here. So even small ones are huge, because if it's someone who's vehemently against it, what we like to call it is peeling the onion. So the next time someone has a conversation with them, that onion starts to get peeled a little more. And it takes about like 5 times. And then you can usually peel the onion, unless they're never going to change, in which case, go on to the next person, you know what I mean? So that's basically what it is. We're going to go and do some practices with that. We can write this down for people, but...
So, we take down voter data for the Occupy. Is that, like, are we ever going to potentially use that to, like, phone bank for Occupy bills? Is that, like, the reason we want voter data?
Well, we're actually getting the data. We're collecting the petition specifically to the city council. Yeah, it is. But we have talked about maybe doing a fundraiser at some point for Occupy, going out and doing a canvassing fundraiser, volunteer. So if anyone's interested, tell me, because we can make it happen. So those are the 5 types. So let's see it. We're gonna do a little practice.
Yes, I will. I told you, Gina, I would keep my hand on this. Does somebody else? I think it has to do with police, so you can't touch that.
You can tell me if you want. I don't have this.
Holly, just one quick question. If someone was so moved that they wanted to give us money as a donation, would we take it, and who do we give that money to?
So it can be made out to Activist San Diego on checks. We do have their tax ID. We do have contribution and receipt forms. We just weren't able to print them out today. But if they want to give, they can also give online. Or if you feel comfortable, you can collect it and bring it back here today, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just keep track of it. We have tick sheets where you can keep track of it, so we make sure that it's all there. And we'll give it to the finance committee to put into the Activist San Diego account, where all of the donations are.
Check. I mean, the return check will act like their receipt, right?
Yeah. If it's a check, it's best because.
Check is best.
Yeah, check
Actually,
is
you
On the
have
same time, if you have the
tax ID number?
Yeah.
So we'll give everybody the tax ID number. Cool. So before we do this practice, I'm just going to show you the clipboards and stuff. Everybody will get one. We also have folders. It's a little different. I'll just be really quick because when you get them, we'll actually go through them. But you'll see there's information on Occupy, information on the economic crisis and what's going on, the declaration of Occupy Wall Street. There's going to be the persuasion forms, petitions, voter registration forms. The voter registration forms are important because they keep you safe in public spaces. Definitely register people to vote. Don't register people to vote that don't support.
Right.
Just a little outreach. Right? If I knock on Holly's door and she doesn't move and she doesn't support, I'm not gonna. And she's like, "Do you have voter registration forms?" I'm just gonna walk away.
Did I register to vote? Have somebody vote for the fee part?
Yeah, you're not.
No,
gonna,
no, definitely not, right?
So you want to be strategic in how you use your clipboard. This is your tool.
Right.
This is more powerful than the police officer's baton. And it's good to go.
Right.
And we'll talk a little bit. Usually we don't talk about how we cut turf. Turf is the areas that we're going to go to. But because it's an outreach training, just really fast, I'll cover that. Like I said, it's strategic in how you choose your turf, right? So turf is either door-to-door or street canvassing. We're going to do both today. We're choosing Todd Gloria's district for a reason, right? When we do issues like gay marriage and the Purification Act, we specifically choose places that voted against us majority. Because we want to go out to places that don't support us. It's tough. It can be emotional. You have to put walls up. But it really is the most important place to go door to door, right? Because if we go door to door in Hillcrest and every single person supports, and there's not a gay marriage campaign happening right now, so we don't have petitions to sign, what are we doing?
Right.
Unless we're fundraising, which is, then going to send us out to the unsupported area. Does that make sense? Yeah. And some things with street canvassing. We're also going to be street canvassing in downtown and Hillcrest. Outside of, in San Diego, it's really more strategic to be outside of stores because it's not a super high traffic city, or in malls. Like I said, because this is a public forum and we canvass in public forums all the time, we can go to places like Horton Plaza. Like, we're not going to go stand on the 3rd floor of Horton Plaza, but there's areas in Horton Plaza we are 100% allowed to be. We're allowed to be outside of Targets. We're allowed to be outside of Trader Joe's. The reason Canvas for a Cause got involved in the lawsuit is actually because Target has tried to sue us in the past for canvassing outside of their doors because there was a lot of issues with talking about gay issues outside of Target, and it was disrupting their customers' politics. But we went to court and we won because it is our right in a public forum to be working on political issues and organizing. And that's kind of why we stand our ground so much and why we're not like, oh yeah, we'll just go out there and we'll run this workshop over on the sidewalk. It's like, no, this is our right to be here and we know that. Granted, if they were going to arrest all of us, some days I 100% support the civil disobedience, but some days, like today, it's like, shit, we have an outreach training, we have a job to do. A couple people want to stand their ground, the rest of us have to move and get this done. But it is our right. Anyway, yes, let's see it. Cool, so we're just going to give examples. It's silly when you've never seen it before, but we do it every day, a million times a day. So what's going to happen is I'm going to be a canvasser, Holly's going to be whatever she chooses to be, and I'm going to knock on her door. What's going to happen? I'm going to pass these sheets out actually.
We're going to give you the sheet so you can see how it goes. Basically, I'm going to give a response about why I maybe don't support or have questions about it. And then there's a list of questions you can ask them. And so we're going to just kind of practice it and you can see how kind of it would go. Questions, the reason we do this, one of the effective parts of it is that in asking questions, it requires people to think, to create their own response, rather than just listening to you. It actually requires them to give something of themselves and to pause and give an answer. So it's really effective in actually making people think about the issue.